put flags on his dad and sent him the photograph
Of
so
his
that
dad's-
rather than
of his dad's grave but it wasn't like all the stones around it. We weren't putting anybody else's stones names on there. So you do what you want with it. I feel good about doing that. You know, I lost my dad in 1962, so I mean he's been dead longer than before Robin was born. My dad died.
Right.
I just don't
born.
think any of those things like cemeteries and visiting that shouldn't be swept under the rug. You should be reminding other people who maybe haven't lost anybody in that situation.
Well, it's not about putting it in anybody's face, Robin.
No, it's not. But it is really helping other people remember.
Other people
what it's
went to the
for.
beach. Other people went swimming. You do what you want on Memorial Day. I always remember what it's about. That's all that matters to me because I respect the military and I respect my dad's service in the military. In the meantime, let's get it back to the most important thing that we are facing on this new week, a shortened week, Harry.
Yeah, it's big news today.
Who would have thought that hockey, the National Hockey League, Harry, would be the first sport to say, all you other suckers, all you baseball chumps, all you basketball chumps, all you other chumps out there, all you governor chumps, we're going to step forward and we're going to open this sumbitch up.
Well, Adam Silver has about 90 minutes to trump Gary Bettman because at 4:30, apparently, Eastern Time, he's going to unveil their plan.
And we already know the basics.
I'm excited.
By the way, we got Ryan Rothster. Ryan, can you grab the stuff off that printer right there? I printed some stuff earlier. It should be right there on the printer.
It's looking like some sort of 24.
Yes, and I have the breakdown.
Right?
I have the exclusive news handed to me. The commissioner sent me a personal email today.
Oh, yeah?
To tell me that he was going to have his, all the phases that you're hearing of all over the country.
Aren't they in phase 2 now, I think, the NHL?
But the phase 2 of the NHL is not like the phase 2 in Pennsylvania because we have
We're yellow. We're in yellow
we
right
have
now.
We have color systems in the states that determine what happens. But then in sports we have the numeric phases.
Well, actually,
phase
we're
1.
not in yellow yet.
No, not
June
until
5th, I think.
Not
is
until
when
June
that
5th.
starts.
That's right.
Yeah.
So we have another week. It'll be a week from yesterday, Harry.
Yes.
No, a week from yesterday is June 1st. June 5th will
Friday.
be Friday. So
Right.
a week from Friday for all of you people out there. But here it is. I'm handing it to you now. This is what Gary Bettman will announce today, Harry. We now know. We don't know the when.
We don't know when.
Right, but we know how they will get the hockey season going and finish it out and have Lord Stanley's Cup presented sometime. 24 teams, right, Harry?
Right, 24 teams in the playoff. Typically, they have 16.
Right.
You know, remember how they used to always say everybody makes the playoffs in hockey?
Now everybody makes the
now
playoffs. This year they will.
Basically, it is true. For this year, the top 4 teams will be awarded byes.
Yes.
And then seeds 5 through 12 will face off in some sort of play-in series to determine the final 16 teams. Now, I don't know how many games that's going to be. Is it going to be a one-game playoff?
Yeah, we don't know
Is
that.
It 3, 5? I don't know.
And that's what the commissioner is announcing today. But the news of the playoff format, this has been known for a while. But, for example, in the Eastern Conference, you know who the top 4 teams are and will get byes. So it looks like they're not going to finish out the season.
The regular season.
They're just going to start with the play. They're going to have a training camp, report, all this important medical stuff. That goes without saying. We don't have to say they're going to practice social distancing and they're going to allow only 6 guys on the ice at the same time.
Right.
We know they're going to do that. That's what we are supposed to do. So was it necessary for us now to always tell everybody what they're going to do?
No.
I'm tired of everybody
sick of it.
telling everybody what to do in the 6 feet and social distancing and shelter in place and all this other crap. I can't wait till those terms are removed from the lexicon.
Yeah, I don't know that they will be anytime soon, Tony.
I don't
That's the
care about
problem.
anytime soon, but I am not sheltering in place. We went out this weekend. We went to see my son in Maryland. I got to hold my grandson for the first time since he was born in January.
Wow.
Those are the things I look forward to. Anybody else, if you're mad, stay at home. Stay inside and get the hell out of my face with your crazy stuff. That's all I have. I don't tell you what to do. Don't you dare tell me what to do.
Well, the top 4 teams in the East are the Bruins, the Lightning, the Caps, and the Flyers.
Correct.
Believe it or not. The Flyers get a bye.
Exactly right.
And then in the West, you got the Blues, the defending champs, the Avalanche, the Golden Knights, and the Stars.
So then you'll have the play-in series. The 5-seed Pittsburgh will take on the 12-seed Canadiens.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got and there are a lot of people already complaining about this. Why should Montreal and the Rangers be in there? Right?
Somebody's going to complain about everything.
Of course they will.
Okay? No matter
this
what.
hasn't even been officially announced
know.
yet,
And
and
people
people
are
are already
whining.
bitching about it. Jesus. You know what? But that's what we need. That's the sports world we know and love.
We haven't had a chance to bitch.
We haven't had a chance to bitch about anything, any bad coaching decisions, right? You can't bitch about coaching decisions in The Last Dance. So anyway, so you got Pittsburgh and the Canadians, 6-seed Carolina Hurricane against the 11-seed Rangers, Panthers against the Maple Leaf. No, who's the Rangers?
And I don't know, it cut off on you.
It did cut off. But anyway, the 8 and 9 teams play Maple Leafs and Blue Jackets. And then in the West, you mentioned the 4 teams, Oilers, Blackhawks, Predators, Coyotes, Flames, and Jets. And you'll know it all later on today when the commissioner makes the announcement. That's good news. The other good news, Harry, is that Governor Murphy in New Jersey has now allowed sports teams in New Jersey to reopen for training and competition. The Sixers have already been in Camden and have been working out there, but not as a full team. Now the full teams are allowed to go over there.
Right.
And then it's up to the teams and the personnel and the coaching staff. You know who's under the gun again?
Brett Brown.
We now initially can put Brett Brown officially on the clock.
He's back on the hot seat.
He's been on the hot seat for months. He even shaved his beard. Everybody was growing beards. Brett Brown is the only coach who shaved his beard and is clean shaven during the pandemic.
Wow.
You know, sometimes you just got to go completely opposite of what the norm is.
I trimmed my beard over the weekend.
It's like when I moved to California.
Did you trim your beard?
Yes, I did. When I moved to California, I went red. I went I'm my natural hair, but everybody there is blonde, so I went a redhead.
Meanwhile,
that's what you got to do.
Yes. And you got the Sixers and Flyers are in Voorhees, New Jersey. You got the New Jersey Devils up there in Newark, right? Mm-hmm. And then, of course, the football teams are in Jersey, too, even though they're the New York teams.
Right.
But the New York teams can't do anything still until Cuomo says so up there. But Governor Murphy now saying he's going to allow graduations in July for kids who graduate from high schools and colleges. So New Jersey's starting to wake up a little bit. People went to the beach. They went to the boardwalks. And then, of course, you had the media people out there with cameras trying to shame everybody who didn't have a mask on. And I'm getting tired of that too, Harry. Network people, TV, yelling at people, and then the camera people who are with the network television people don't have a mask on, but they're shaming people walking by who aren't even close to one another.
Right.
I'm tired of that too.
I can no longer be shamed.
You're shameless?
Yeah, I'm shameless.
What changed? Like, was it
watching the show Shameless on Showtime?
No, I couldn't get through that show.
I couldn't either.
No.
And I like the actors in it. Yeah. I just didn't get it.
William H. Macy's character, I wanted to end him.
Yeah, me too.
Two seasons in, I couldn't deal with it.
Yeah, when a character is just too
he's just too over the top for me.
It was like watching Casino. I watched Casino for the first time.
Oh, you
Friday,
did?
Robin and
Finally.
We're up till 2:30 in the morning because
it's like 3.5 hours long.
Because I always wanted to see it, and it came on. I said, "Oh, let's watch Casino." And then I wanted to turn it off and go to bed, and I kept watching it. And in that movie, I wanted everybody dead.
Sharon Stone's character
was phenomenal.
She was really good.
She had the hardest role.
Yeah.
Pesci and De Niro did the same thing in every movie.
She made you really hate her.
Yes,
her character.
Oh,
I wanted everybody dead except one guy. You know who the guy? Don Rickles.
Oh, Rickles.
He's the only guy I didn't want dead.
And he is dead, unfortunately.
I know, obviously. Well, a lot of those people in that movie are dead now. That was 1995. Harry.
I know, it's a long time ago.
It was all right, though. It was too long. And that's what I said. That's why I won't watch The Irishman.
Well, that is too long.
I will not watch The Irishman. Ever, ever, ever.
The only thing that I had a problem with is that De Niro's character was supposed to be Jewish. Mm-hmm. And it's like they didn't even try to make him look Jewish.
How do you look Jewish?
What are you trying to say?
What are you saying
right here? They didn't try to make him look like the character. His name was Rothstein.
We got a couple of Jews in here.
What's the matter with you, Robin?
And in real life,
who are you, the Mayor de Blasio of New York? Going after the Jews?
The real life, the guy was like bald, wore glasses. He was a little bit nerdy looking. They did not do that at all.
Of course not, because they used real actors, not the schlubs who were the actual people who did that crap.
Why couldn't De Niro go a little balding on top for the part? You know,
they probably didn't pay him enough.
And wear nerdy looking glasses. For God's sakes.
He did have weird glasses
at the very end, at the very last shot. That's it.
Actually, we had one of the scenes that was cut by Scorsese in the film when they thought it was a little too Jewish.
Mm-hmm.
And then
all right, Tony Bruno.
I can't find it now. I had to scroll for it. Anyway, that was Robin. Send all hate mail to at Miss Robin Austin on Twitter. Not at Tony Bruno Show or at Harry Mays. We got a great show today, I hope. We got John McMullen We got Charles Barkley joining us.
Finally.
And Dan Lust, Esquire. We got a lot of legalese to get through today, Harry.
Right.
All of that and more still ahead. We're just getting started. It is the Tuesday after a long Labor Day weekend. Stick around. You know what I was looking for, right?
No.
Hey, Wang,
Oh, that.
Tell him you're Jewish. Make him look Jewish. What are they supposed to put a big nose on him? What are they supposed to do? Have him do
No.
Shock G and Humpty Dance when he put that fake nose on?
I was just saying that make him look like the guy that he's supposed to be
No,
playing.
you're not. It doesn't matter what the guys look like. Nobody ever looks like the original
Sharon
character.
Stone did a very good job of looking like his wife.
She looked like a bimbo, which was what she's supposed to be.
Exactly.
She didn't have plastic surgery on her face to make her look like the chick.
Okay, what is going on here? What does this say on the back?
It says Q2N 4K. Hey, Wang. It's a private course here. Don't tell him you're Jewish.
Great.
When we do the open over later, we won't have to mention any of that stuff. We won't do that in there.
Oh, great. Are all of them frozen? Fantastic.
The cameras are frozen?
Yep.
It was all yellow.
Except for that one. Okay.
All right, I got to find the Twitch stream here.
Webcam. Does it say webcam right here at the top?
Yes.
All right. What is going on, you stupid, stupid thing?
Where can I find the Twitch stream in here, Robin?
Go to, it's right at the front page, very first page. Here, hit home. Yeah, there you go. Social media. At the bottom. What the heck
That's
happened?
what I'm telling you, Robin. That's what happens. I need a separate, what do you call it?
I know, you did.
I didn't have a separate thing.
Social media.
That should be on the front page.
It's right there.
Okay. It wasn't when I tried to open it earlier.
And then hit this. And then just go up. There you go.
Welcome back to the Tony Bruno Show with Harry Mays on Sirius XM 211.
Tony and Harry, Miss Robin in here already in double secret probation, Harry.
Already?
Well, I mean, comments she made. She may get banned by Jack. I think she and Trump are going to both be thrown off Twitter today for what they said. It's an outrage. Meanwhile, let's get it back to the action, Harry, because we've got a lot of football news. We mentioned hockey. They're going to unsheath it. Basketball, still trying to figure it out. Charles Barkley will join us next hour. We know about the NBA, Harry, is that Disney seems to be the place.
Right.
And that
Orlando,
yeah. Florida, they've got an isolated hub down there. We've been talking about this for months, but it looks like they really like the Disney. ABC, obviously, and Disney are the same company. Mm-hmm. They're in bed with the NBA
because
they have
with the league.
So
sure,
as far as the technical aspects of doing games from down there,
right.
You know, they have it already all hooked up. It's the worldwide leader down there.
Yeah,
it's
there's
the wide world.
Plenty of accommodations.
Yeah.
You know, options.
They have the HP Fieldhouse. They have the Visa Center and an arena just on the Disney property in the Wild World of Sports complex. Mm-hmm. Then they could use the UCF facilities in Central Florida. They can go to the Orlando Magic facilities in the arena. They can have 13 games or practices going on at the same time.
Is that right?
That's how many facilities they have available. So that makes the most sense. We'll see how long the commissioner, Adam Silver, takes to give us an answer.
Well, that's one of the things I'm interested in finding out today about the hockey, as to, like, where are they going to do all this?
Well, we'll find out later on. But I know one guy who has everything going on. He is a multimedia media megastar right now, and he's one of us. Well, he used to be. Has he gotten too big for this show now? You know, we used to put John McMullen on all the time.
Well, now he's got his big column going.
He's got a big column now. He's got all these radio and TV appearances, and maybe he starts turning his back on us or trying to shoehorn us into his busy schedule. Ladies and gentlemen, the great NFL insider, columnist, bon vivant, the great John McMullen. John, how are you, brother?
Doing well. Thanks for having me, guys. You know I would never. Robin, in fact, told me to come on at 4:20 today, but then Charles was coming on. So I can accept being bumped for Charles Barkley.
You were bumped up, not bumped back. Normally when a big celebrity bumps somebody.
Yeah, you're bumped off the show.
It's like back in the old Tonight Show, and Johnny Carson, if you were in the last half hour, a lot of times you didn't make it if the first couple of guests were good. They would blow you off. You know what I mean? You remember that?
Well,
John?
that was Jimmy Kimmel's whole stick. Apologies to Matt Damon.
Right, exactly. Now, John, good column today. A lot of football news because I'm seeing now the situation going on with the players' union. Looks like the players' union in the NFL is buying into, because the players get 47% of the gate too. So it looks like the NFL union members are saying, "Hey," their leadership are saying, "We are looking at playing games with people in the stands this fall, whether it's half capacity, three-quarters capacity, or full capacity." And I think the piece of the pie has to help in that regard, does it not, John?
Yeah, no question. I think when you talk about any CBA, not enough people understand that games without fans, whether it's, you guys were just talking about the NBA, NHL, I mean, that affects the bottom line of the players as well, because the smaller the pie, the less that split is. So obviously 47% of $15 billion is a heck of a lot more than if you carve off $5.5 billion, which is what Forbes kind of estimated would happen if you play with no fans in the stands. I think that number's a little bit high, but it's a significant hit. So the players would obviously take a big brunt of that as well. So, you know, the NFL's gotten kind of lucky throughout this whole thing. We've talked about it in the past from a calendar perspective, and the fact that it didn't start till after the season was over. And it looks like we're ramping up throughout sports before their season begins. So in some ways, they got a little bit lucky, but becoming clearer and clearer every day that there's going to be some fans in the stands. It's just a matter of how many.
Well, speaking of the calendar, what do you anticipate being the first thing where players might return to the facilities?
Well, it's interesting. There was a Yahoo report today from Charles Robinson, and if you would have told me this before Memorial Day weekend, I would have laughed at you. And here we are, the day after, and we're talking about coaches being back at facilities next week and potential mini camps, live mini camps taking place in June by the end of the month. I still don't think that's going to happen. I really don't, because. And J.C. Treader, who's the president of the Players Association now, has already been out there saying, look, we haven't agreed to anything. That has to be jointly negotiated. I don't think there's enough time to get that done. But I do think it's a clear indication that training camps are going to start on time unless something really bad happens, and they're going to be on field. There's not going to be any virtual aspect to the early days of it.
Yeah, John, I saw that earlier as well, and we were talking about, the Saints were one of the teams, I believe, that was going to start allowing people into the complex. Here in Pennsylvania, though, the governor here has not allowed the teams, Pittsburgh or the Eagles, to actually show up at the complex, so nobody can go there yet. Meanwhile, in New Jersey, their governor has opened stuff up, and so the question is, virtual stuff was the thing, and for everybody, But now the virtual stuff seems to be moving into actual physical bodies in the building. Is there any way Governor Wolf will not allow the NFL franchises in this state, the Eagles and the Pittsburgh Steelers, to go back if the rest of the NFL facilities are allowed to go back and start working on ways to have mini camps and actual real competition?
I can't imagine it. It's a domino effect, and as you mentioned, Governor Murphy in New Jersey today said sports leagues can ramp up. New York, once that domino fell, from the NFL's perspective, their biggest concern is California, Gavin Newsom, and that's the last one. They don't want to open up facilities to players until every team is allowed back. So. Yeah, as long as there's a couple stragglers, and right now Tom Wolf is still one of them. I can't imagine with New York and New Jersey falling, so to speak, that he would not follow suit. But stranger things have happened. I do know the NFL is probably more concerned about California than anything else.
Now, I know we've heard, or at least we went through the Miami Dolphins' their plan a week or two ago about putting people back in the stadium at, much less than what the capacity is. What other teams are doing the same thing, John?
Well, everybody's got contingencies. That's been one of this thing where, for whatever reason, certain critics have said, why is the NFL going about things the way they are? They pretty much, and Roger Goodell has said in various memos to the teams to try to avoid hypotheticals. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You mentioned Stephen Ross. He's out there again today saying there's going to be fans. So certain organizations have not listened to his advice, but they've always had these contingencies, whether it's the schedule. They got criticized for just putting out a 16-game schedule, but there were some fail-safes in there in case it had to be pushed back. So they've been working with these contingencies behind the scenes, and that's part of it. Is it going to be no fans? Is it going to be a certain number of fans? What happens if California doesn't allow NFL games in that particular state? Where do those teams play? And there were similar questions about Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, other hotspot areas, but those seem to be changing rapidly because, for whatever reason, whatever it's pressure, whatever you want to call it, those municipalities have started to admit that we're going to have to start this thing, and you're going to have to allow people to get back to at least some sense of normalcy.
NFL insider John McMullen joining us here on the radio, in the air, everywhere. Harry Mays, Tony Bruno, Miss Robin, the whole gang here. All right, John, there's one interesting story I saw this morning from the Philadelphia Eagles camp. Their fourth-round draft pick, Kevon Wallace from Clemson, got a bat. I didn't know you could get tattoos during a pandemic, but he's got his whole back done with an eagle on it.
I don't think you're supposed to. Yeah. But
will he be shamed now when he goes onto the practice field with that gigantic eagle on the? And he's got a crown on there too. Did you see it?
It looks like a nice piece of art.
Yeah, it is.
It is a nice piece of art. From my. I'm thinking, hey, look, you got to be realistic. And you see around the league, the Eagles are probably not the only team Kevon Wallace is going to play for in his NFL career. I mean,
how do you know that? How do you know he doesn't become the next?
I hope he turns into the next Brian Dawkins.
Yeah, exactly.
Another Clemson safety that goes to the Hall of Fame. But hey, you talk about Brian Dawkins.
Yeah, he went to Denver.
His career,
not
Philadelphia.
So you're equating this to like getting your wife's name tattooed on your arm, and then you have a divorce?
You might have.
No, wait a minute, John. Wait a minute. I'm looking at this. I'm a tattoo expert. We've had ink masters in the studio with us here from Philly. That's not a Philadelphia eagle. That is just an eagle. It's not like the mascot on his back. It's not like having gritty on your back.
I get that part of it. So at least there's some caution involved. But, what are you going to do?
And it looks like he's going to have the Tiger King on the other side.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it's
He's got a tiger and an eagle intertwined.
And the tiger has a crown on.
Yeah,
right.
There's a
it's Tiger King.
Yeah.
Hello.
See?
I know.
Clemson Tigers. See that?
Right.
There's a Clemson Tiger and eagle representation, but it's not the eagle is the symbol of America,
and
John.
It was the first team he was drafted. This is who he was drafted by,
As
so
long
that'll
as
never change.
He's not going to have buyer's remorse. I have no problem with it. And hey, maybe that's his mentality. Wherever he goes,
He's committed.
He'll have some kind of remembrance, and so that's the way he's going. I just hope he's not taking it as sort of that tattoo of your significant other, and you're going to have buyer's remorse.
No, because when anybody gets a girlfriend, wife, or
Mm-hmm.
any other woman or man tattooed, it's usually a little one, and you can cover it over.
Well, right.
There ain't no way that thing's getting covered over. That's his entire back.
Yeah.
Well, I think that he did make a comment because people were ripping him.
Said,
and he said, that's who I was drafted by. That's who got me into the NFL.
And there's only one
and
team
there's only
that can
one
draft
team.
him.
Exactly.
So,
he can
but he also said this is the best fan base I've seen. Incredible. Right up there with Clemson. So
that just says he's a smart kid. So I give him credit for that.
Yeah. Playing to the
but
fans.
You never know. Howie Roseman could, anger him at some point. He might have a totally different, like any relationship. It might turn ugly down the road. Hopefully that doesn't happen. It's much like our relationship, Tony. It just gets better and better.
That's why I don't have any tattoos. Now, I am thinking about getting my ears gauged. Because I think that's a good look.
That'd be a good look for you.
Because when you get older, you go into your 70s and 80s.
Mid-60s with a gauge.
That skin is sagging anyway, so it'll hold the ear together better. You know what I mean? And it'll be a cool look.
I think you shouldn't be allowed to get gauged until age 60. I think
agree.
that should be a
I got to
rule.
check to see if my Medicare Complete package includes gauging as part of the free services. Once we can go back to the doctors and go back to the hospitals.
Once you can go back for those types of procedures. You can't do that right now. Although, who knows, gauging might be something that's essential.
It is essential to some people. People need it. That's how you could put a little cord in there, and then you can have people, like when you have kids, you put kids on leashes now.
Right.
When the parents are trying to walk their kids.
Well, they should be.
Well, they should.
No, I didn't say that.
No. That was your out loud voice that said that.
I had an out loud voice earlier.
Yes, she did. Yes, she did. So you live in New Jersey. How has the governor's restrictions affected you this past Memorial Day weekend, John?
Well, I was talking to Ryan Roski, and he lives down the shore, and he said it was just packed. So I'm hunkered at home with the wife and the family, so that's what I want to do anyway. It doesn't affect me whatsoever. But if I were in my younger days and I wanted to go down the shore or something of that nature, certainly sounds like, everybody's pushing back a little bit after 2 months. And I think that's part of the reason why you see the change or at least a little bit of shift in making these restrictions at least a little bit more tenable for people.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to keep people off the beaches. And people rely on their well-being. And I don't mean physical or mental. I'm saying businesses. I saw a story over the weekend that there are people upset. They're walking on the boardwalk, and they couldn't buy flip-flops or any kind of beach wear. But then they can go off the boardwalk, go to a big box store or a big regular store and buy the same thing. So why are you punishing the people who have businesses on the boardwalk who make their living, and that's what they need the summer season?
They only have 3 months to do it anyway.
Exactly. Yeah. When you're allowing the same merchandise to be sold in the store right down the street off the boardwalk. Yeah. That's a legitimate concern and legitimate complaint by people whose lives are their whole well-being is determined by how they can conduct their business or shut the thing down.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have pointed to the hypocrisy of that because through this whole thing, Walmart and box stores and, as you mentioned, Home Depot and Lowe's, you can go and it was packed. You can get whatever you want. And small businesses are going out of business because they can't open and they can't do the things they need to do. So there is a certain sense of why this, not and why that. And certainly people talk to the NFL, talk about the NFL and say, well, they make so much money that they get special consideration. I don't know if it's true, but I do know that it's pretty clear that you can just follow the money, and bigger entities don't have the same problems as small businesses, and they're the ones, when we look back on this 20 years from now, we're going to say, what the heck did we do to these poor people? But it's a tough problem. There's no question about that.
Well, getting it back to football, I did read your column today. By the way, you can check that out at phillyvoice.com.
Phillyvoice.com. His first 7,000 word column. I think that's extensive.
Is that how many words?
I think it was.
Yeah, I
the
read
New York Times has said, "Wow, we don't even write 7,000 word pieces anymore on our editorial page."
I read it from start to finish, and I was very interested in the Dak Prescott piece. You think this is all sort of a ploy by his agent to sort of do what Kirk Cousins did, right?
Yeah, I think, everybody looks at Mike McCarthy and what he did with, and that's Kirk's agent, and what he did with Kirk Cousins.